So my name is Anthony, and that's
I'm Andrew.
Andrew. Welcome to It's Time to Talk. So today we have, it's the day after the Super Bowl, so we're going to take this whole episode to talk about the Super Bowl in general. So I'd like to introduce our guest. Today we have Rane with us.
How you doing?
He is a student with us here at the high school, and he also does the sports segment with happenings around Woburn. Am I correct?
That's right.
All right. So we're going to kick it off. Andrew, how did you feel about the Super Bowl?
Let's not talk about it.
Why is that? Even though I just said we're going to dedicate a whole episode to it.
Not a very happy game for me.
Why is that?
Ravens. Just enough said. Ravens.
So yeah, that's right. Your prediction. You didn't want the Ravens to win.
Nope.
Rane, did the game stand up to your predictions?
To tell you the truth, I really didn't have any kind of underlying or outlying kind of predictions for the game. Neither team was one of my favorite teams. I would have liked to see the Ravens win. I'm glad that they won just based on the fact that Ray Lewis can kind of go out on top. And I know a lot of people don't like Ray Lewis, and there's the whole murder thing and the deer antler growth hormone thing. But personally, I like the guy. So you can say what you want, but at the end of the day, he's one of the greatest players ever to play the game. And I was just happy to see that he could retire on top. And it was a pretty good game. There was some shoddy reffing. But overall, I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't happy. I'm kind of
Indifferent about it?
very indifferent, very binominal about it.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Speaking of just bad reffing, like that last play.
Well, if you were to talk about it, so we have the very, very last play. I guess this is going to cause a lot of controversy.
Oh, the last play of the drive, yes.
But yeah, you can even say just the last play in general of the game.
That was definitely a holding.
Well, in one case, it's holding. You would agree that it was holding. Even when you showed
absolutely.
it. But on the other hand, the receiver also pushed his helmet down.
And I also noticed that throughout the game, there were a lot of really rising tensions, fights, helmets were flying everywhere. It was a really high-intensity, high-pressure game, and I feel like that the refs might have gotten caught up in this, trying to control the game, and that might have affected their calling in some way.
I think they did a good. Overall in the game, I think they made a relatively good job.
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as everyone else during the season.
Wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Exactly. Except for I found the one funny part where he went to point to defense and he pointed to the other side.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny. Anyways, I think he did make the right decision in actually not throwing the flag, especially at the very end of the game. It was.
I think you definitely just should have at least thrown it to be so you can at least just conference with the other guys and say, all right, this is what I saw. What did you guys see? Like, how's this going to go down? But just not throwing it just to leave it to no review, I think, was just the wrong choice.
Well, I think if they actually threw the flag, it would come out to be, offensive pass interference and defensive pass interference. Yeah. So in the end, it just wouldn't have come out to anything.
And on a lesser note, I do feel, even though the 49ers lost, I feel like Colin Kaepernick had a very, very good showing. And I think the kid has a really bright future and a really bright career ahead of him. And he shouldn't let this get him down because he has a great future ahead of him.
The fact that he even made it to the Super Bowl on that is impressive. But
it
was a very close game. It came down to 3 points. It's a very, very close game. It was very tight.
No, keep going.
At
first, I thought the Ravens were going to pull away with it at first, but 49ers did a really good job and came back and almost caught up and almost took the win.
Yeah, it was like, 21-3 going into the half, something like that?
Yep.
That was
something around that, 21-22-3.
Yeah, but so now we're going to take into effect here. At the start of the half, we already saw, after they come out of the locker room, was it 28-3 or was it 21-3?
It was 21-3.
It was 21-3. Yeah. So 21-3 when they come out, and they just score a touchdown right off the bat. So now it's 28-3.
They came out strong.
Now, then the power outage happened.
There was actually one before the game, too.
Yes, they were saying that, but that really had no effect on the game at all, except for the power outage that happened in the middle of the game, which lasted 34 minutes,
14.
I believe.
You're a little off.
No, 34 minutes. 34 minutes the power was out. So do you think that the power outage happening after, especially right after the half, I think it was 3 plays into the second half.
Yeah.
Do you think that this actually enabled time for Kaepernick and the 49ers to actually get everything together and get it going again?
Yes, I absolutely believe that time kind of aided them somewhat because as they said, they actually gave them, after the outage, they gave them 15 minutes to just throw around and recollect themselves and get ready. And I feel like that kind of gave them some time to get the plays together, get the game plan straight in their heads, kind of recollect themselves after a really bad first quarter. Was it when did the power go out again?
It was the third quarter.
It was first and second quarter, very bad quarters, and they were able to get it back together, and they fought back hard. So I think the power outage aided them, but it didn't really affect the Ravens.
I mean, the Ravens, they had their momentum going pretty much the whole time, and then even right when they came out after the half, they still had that momentum.
Absolutely.
But right after the power outage, it seemed they still kind of had their momentum, but San Francisco finally was understanding everything.
Now, they were just kind of like going into the half, it gave them the chance to get themselves together, and then that extra time did help. I mean, they kind of got to a point where they were able to get themselves together because they were very sloppy in the first half.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that if the power outage didn't happen, the score would be the same?
I feel like if the power outage didn't happen, there wouldn't be that drastic of a difference, but I feel like the Ravens could have kept rolling a little bit more, and San Francisco would have just kept fumbling over themselves. Whereas the power outage gave them some time, as I said before, to kind of recollect themselves and kind of get it back into the game.
It was definitely kind of a chance to get everybody kind of situated and ready for what they need to do again, rather than just running straight into it.
I mean, I feel that. I feel personally that if the power outage didn't even happen, that they'd still be fumbling over themselves. But I don't think the score would have been that high.
That's what I'm saying. It wouldn't have been that much.
I think it would have been like. I mean, I think the Ravens probably would have scored again. I think it would have been, what was that, 28 to 35.
Yeah.
I think it would have been 35.
That seems like a pretty good estimate.
I don't know. I'd say maybe they'd even score a touchdown, 35-10.
Yeah, that seems like a good estimate to me. How about that 109-yard touchdown?
That was awesome.
Yeah,
that was impressive.
That
was
impressive.
Extremely impressed.
So that's the longest in postseason and regular season history.
I don't know. Is it the longest regular season history?
They
wow.
they said that up there.
That is extremely impressive. I'm impressed.
Although they were questioning it when they came back, because I actually went back and watched it.
Yeah.
They did it. It could be. I think it was like 2.5 away from the line. I mean, I guess you give it to him, but they
give it
start
to the
talking
guy.
about
It's
it.
a Super Bowl, and he just ran from coast to coast.
I mean, let's see you do
Give
that.
it to the dude. Yeah.
Then maybe we'll talk. All right. So now we're going to move off the Super Bowl, like in general, for the game for a while, and we're going to talk about the commercials. Now, the commercials were not as good as they usually are. I mean,
it was a letdown.
Usually you have a lot of laughs, but not this year. Does anyone have a commercial that they want to talk about specifically?
I have one.
Which one?
What network was it on? It was NBC that the Super Bowl was on?
CBS.
Well, they need to stop advertising their shows during the Super Bowl, because there was like 10 commercials of the exact same commercial.
Two Broke Girls one came on like 9 times.
Oh my God, and it's annoying. The shows aren't funny. The commercial wasn't funny, and they're taking away from what most people, in this case the Patriots aren't playing. Most people, let's be honest, are going to watch the Super Bowl for the commercials, in my opinion. I mean,
it's half of it.
Yeah, and there were a couple good ones. I like the Dodge Ram, the Farmer one. I really like that one.
Yeah, that was good. I liked that.
That was good. And I found the, what's it called? It'll come back to me in a second, but I thought they were pretty good. I mean,
the Budweiser ones were a letdown this year. Usually those are the kind of the highlighted ones that I tend to look at, but those seem to be behind.
Usually those tend to be funny. I mean, there were two. I think there were just like two major Budweiser ones. There was the Budweiser Black that came out, and then there was the
Black.
Yeah, I think
I didn't see that.
I think that's that was the new thing that it released.
What is it?
I don't even know.
I don't remember what it was.
But and then there was the other one where they actually showed the raising of the horse.
Yep.
That commercial was plain sad. But it was got a good ending to it.
I mean, I think it got the point across, definitely.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
what it had to do with beer, I have absolutely no idea.
It had nothing to do
What
with
did
it.
any of these things have to do with their products?
Nothing to do with beer at all.
I mean, how many times does the commercial in the Super Bowl have to actually matter with the actual product that they're trying to sell?
Did you not see the Doritos ones where the men are dancing
Oh,
like fairies in the room?
That was my favorite commercial.
I liked
that one. Daddy, can you play Princess?
Yeah,
it was even better.
I have Doritos.
That was a fantastic commercial, especially, is that my wedding dress at the end? He's eating the Doritos.
Maybe.
It was even better watching it for the first time. I had headphones in when I first walked in the room, and that one came on. So just watching it without the context was even better. And then I was watching it later on the live stream on the internet, and it came back up as a commercial, and it was pretty funny with it.
I thought that was a good commercial.
Now, let's start talking about that controversial GoDaddy commercial.
I
And I'm
thought
talking about the first one where the supermodel is making out with the super nerd.
I loved that commercial.
was good.
That was great. That was like, I personally, some people are gonna find it controversial. I found that commercial absolutely hilarious, especially the face that the guy made at the end. It was like that his life was complete. And you know how many takes that guy probably made them do? Probably like 15, 16 takes when it was right every
I'd
time.
say 40.
Oh yeah, probably.
The first one was probably
He was,
right.
he was having a
and-
good day.
That was a great. I actually liked that commercial.
Now, do you think
That's
this
funny.
is obviously it's going to spark controversy?
Those commercials always go too far. The GoDaddy commercials always go too far, and that was pretty tame, I think.
Well, now let's kind of take it back and say, could that be considered soft porn? Right on the air?
No.
No,
Nope.
not
Nope.
at all. People kissing in public all the time.
They made out.
Well, yeah, but you see that too. Even in the school right here, you see that.
Any movie or TV show has that.
Yeah, there's some Disney movies where the characters will kiss. I mean, I think.
Most now do.
I haven't watched a Disney movie since I was probably like 4 or 5, so I don't really know. But yeah, I think that it was perfectly TV safe, and they're always going to be edgy commercials. I mean, they got your attention, didn't they? And that was the point of the commercial.
Most TV now is just in general going to be edgier. I mean,
Very
we're getting to a
edgy, yeah.
point where you can basically get away with anything. I mean,
As a society,
most of our
we're-
shows are now
yeah.
showing like deaths and murders in it. I mean, we're getting away with anything on there.
Oh, so I could kill you?
No.
As a society, we are just addicted to kind of death and carnage and sex, and not a bad thing.
We're just used to.
And then we wonder why violence happens.
And we can't complain about it because we're creating it. And I have no problem with that because I have a level enough head that I'm not going to go out there and create that violence.
I mean, it's being produced because we're watching it, and I mean, we're watching because we enjoy it. But
It's what America wants. It's what America needs. Not really.
Yeah, I mean, I grew-
but-
This is our
Well, I mean,
glorious
I grew-
freedom of speech shining through. We are allowed to do this in many of Arabic nations or kind of other kind of more oppressive nations. I shouldn't say Arabic nations. That's a little insensitive. But in many more oppressive countries, that wouldn't be allowed to be shown. But with our freedom of speech, we are allowed to do that, and I think that's what makes America special. And it's just a
And,
testament.
I mean, in general too, just we're used to being around and all this. I mean, I grew up on Grand Theft Auto, which I'm sure you guys
Yeah,
had
I did.
too.
Yeah.
And I mean, we grew up on Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duties and stuff, where I mean, you're just playing and going after killing people, and it's just, I think it's just we're used to it. I mean, we're not going to go crazy after it, but we do enjoy it.
So now that we've moved off topic a little bit, Rane, did you think of that commercial?
What?
Did you think of the commercial that you couldn't think of earlier?
I'm almost there.
All right. While you're thinking of that commercial,
Oh no, I did. The new Mercedes Benz. I can't remember what it's called. It's Mercedes Benz. It's under 29 grand, and I think it's a fantastic car. It looks great. It looks fast. Well, every Mercedes looks fast, even if it's not fast. Looks great. Under 29 grand, and I'm gonna be very interested to go onto the dealership and see it when it comes in.
No.
AKA
I'm a-
he's gonna go look at it, not buy it.
I'm a car guy, so I'm into that stuff. So.
Now, what was that one that it was another car commercial?
Was it the Audi commercial?
I don't think it was an Audi one. It had
Lincoln?
Kaylee Cuoco in it from.
Oh.
What was that? That one was a very strange one, where she was like the genie or something.
Oh, the Toyota
Oh, yeah.
RAV4.
Yep,
the
there you go.
RAV4 Genie.
The
I hate
talking
RAV4
squirrels.
so much.
Yep. That was.
That was.
That was
They
a-
could have gone a better way with that. That was
Yeah,
kind
I
of a
feel
painful
like
commercial
that-
to sit through.
That commercial kind of disappointed me because
Oh,
like,
yeah.
they could have made that more appealing where it ended up being kind of like almost like a children's commercial.
I mean, there was the other commercial the other car commercial that I liked.
Lincoln?
Was it? No, was it the Audi? The one where the kid's going to prom, and he steps into the hall and he just like kisses.
Yeah, I believe that was Audi.
Yeah, I think that was Audi. So he steps into the prom, kisses. I think like the prom king's girlfriend or whatever. Then he gets a shiner, and all you see the closing scene is him speeding away with a giant shiner driving home. That was a good one. I liked it.
The one.
He was going to prom by himself. That was the whole
No,
point.
What I liked was the
He was going with an Audi.
Lincoln commercial for the new MKZ. Was at the beginning they showed a 92 or 93 Lincoln Town Car, and my dad had one of those cars, and that thing was great. And I was glad that in that commercial. I mean, this is just a stupid little thing that I noticed, but they were able to pay homage to that vehicle because that was a great car. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I
At the
think I
beginning, it
know
was like
which
the
one you're talking
older town car, and it morphed into the MKZ. I like that commercial a
Actually,
lot.
one that I just thought of, do you remember that Taco Bell commercial
Oh, yeah.
with
Oh!
the old people?
They sang "We Are Young" in Spanish.
yeah,
Did anyone catch that?
Yeah.
That was one thing. That was hilarious.
funny.
They absolutely trashed on that Pontiac driving out of the Taco Bell, shaking all around. The guy gets a tattoo on his back.
That was hysterical.
That was
I
a pretty
love
good
that one.
I got a kick out of that.
I think they got the point across. And they sang "We Are Young" in Spanish. I'm
Yeah.
always a fan of fun.
And then one that I saw that wasn't really much of a commercial for an ad like that, but the new Fast and Furious movie was shown,
I'm
and
absolutely
that
gonna
looks
see
like a great film.
Yeah.
So-
I can't wait
I'm
to
ready
see
for that.
So now that we've gotten off topic just a little bit,
Highly.
we're going to go back to during the Super Bowl, exactly halfway through the game,
Relatively.
the halftime show. So how did you guys feel about Beyonce's performance?
Nope.
I feel like Beyonce is a beautiful woman, but I feel like maybe that might have been recorded. I'm not quite sure because it sounded like some of it she was probably singing, but
It was kind of a rough. I mean, it was. You could tell that there's points where it was lip synced. I mean, she fell off on that too. I mean,
Yeah.
it was a very kind of rough performance.
And what
to
made
get
it
through.
really obvious was when the two other girls came up.
from Destiny's Child, yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know Destiny's. I didn't know she was a part of Destiny's Child until then. I'm
Yeah, I
not,
didn't either.
That's what launched her.
Well, good for you.
I thought that the one girl was Nicki Minaj. I'm very glad it wasn't.
No, she had her fame last year.
Yeah, I think she's.
Was it last year?
I think she's done, and I'm
Yeah.
happy she's done.
You'd think we know. We spent like 20 minutes looking it up.
But what I thought about that was
Yeah, we spent lunch looking at halftime
they
shows.
should have had a better use of pyrotechnics in that. I mean, there wasn't enough. There was that very random scene of the girl with the guitar jamming out, and the guitar was shooting sparks. Like that seemed like it was just kind of randomly thrown in there.
Well, you can almost say that about any performance at the Super Bowl. Like last year when the tightrope thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was random.
What I thought was really kind of strange about this is the whole build up to it. Like every commercial, they're saying, "Oh, Pepsi, the fan created Super Bowl or halftime show," and during the halftime show, they didn't mention that it was fan created once.
So next time we have a Super Bowl, we should just
Let the
leave it to the
professionals do it.
professionals. Don't let fans interfere unless they know what
Yeah.
they're doing.
I feel like
Leave it to
Beyonce,
Green Day.
I'd like that.
I feel like since Beyonce did the inauguration like a week ago, I feel like maybe they should have picked somebody else. That's way too much publicity
Although,
for one person.
The thing that got me about the show was it seemed too much like a show.
No,
Like
it was absolutely a production.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Like do you know what I mean?
Should have tossed Jay-Z out there. That would have been great. I love Jay-Z.
I was waiting for that.
I mean,
love Jay-Z.
like it seemed too. I don't want to say pre-planned because everything that they do there is pre-planned. Is
Absolutely.
the point. But I mean, like it seemed too much like a show. Like
It
I can
felt
go
like it
see
was
that
too
next week
rehearsed.
if I wanted to.
Yeah.
Too rehearsed.
It didn't seem like it was a performance. It became more of a theatrical appearance.
Yeah, I mean, like last year, I mean, there was like integrations in music, like people actually singing other people's songs,
Yeah.
and you didn't know what was going to happen next. But with this, you sort of felt like, oh,
She's been doing this for a month. She's been trying.
it's
to,
the same performance
Just
over
in
and
general,
over.
I mean, Super Bowl halftime shows are kind of intended to be there as like what's going to happen.
It
This is
went
going to
on
be
way
like a
too
crazy
long.
show.
I mean, yeah, they have a
there's
lo-
usually something crazy revolving around these, and this seemed to be very tame.
They have a very long, colorful history of wardrobe malfunctions and intoxication.
And that's
all-
what makes it awesome.
And I was ready for a
Profanity.
wardrobe malfunction. It
oh,
didn't
with
happen.
her, yes.
No,
No.
not like that. But I mean, in the past, it happened once in the past, and I wasn't hoping for it, but I kind of figured it would probably happen again, and it didn't. And that it was, I felt like a real production. It felt like it was really like a plastic show.
Rane, I'd like to thank you for making this transition so great. So one thing I noticed in the beginning of the show, they had the kids from Sandy Hook come out to perform.
Oh, that was
and I thought that was a
so
great.
sad.
I thought that was a great thing to have them
I'm not
come
gonna
out and
lie,
do
I
it.
started like tearing up a little bit. That
Yeah,
was
it definitely-
really sad. I imagine what it was like to actually
hit.
be in there.
To tell you the truth, I was actually for the first half of the first half of the fourth quarter, I was actually working. So I got home. So the first half of the for the first quarter, first half of the first quarter, folks.
So you missed the beginning of it
I
all?
missed the beginning of it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll fill you in. Who sang the, not the national anthem, who sang with them?
Jennifer Hudson?
She
Yeah, they had
sings?
Jennifer Hudson come out, and they had the kids from the Sandy Hook thing. They came out and they sang "American Beautiful."
Yeah,
That's nice.
it
Yeah,
was.
it was definitely a pretty
It
emotional
hit home
event.
Sounds
for a lot
touching.
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then after, Alicia Keys
Yep.
sang the national anthem on the piano. And usually you could tell who how long the national anthem is going to be just by the first word.
Oh, that was long.
I think it took about 5 minutes.
I'd say longer than that.
Now, this doesn't really relate to the Super Bowl as much, but the Sandy Hook thing kind of just reminded me of this. Who's heard? You guys heard about that nut job holding the kid in the bunker, holding the kid in the bunker underground? Nut job?
No.
No. Folks,
Fill us in.
have you heard about that at home, folks? There was some nut job, and he kidnapped this kid. He came onto a school bus at first, and he wanted to take a kid, and the bus driver said no, and he killed the bus driver. And he kidnapped this kid, and this kid has a mild form of autism. And he took this kid, and he's hiding in like an underground bunker kind of establishment kind of thing. Like if you guys ever seen Doomsday Preppers, they have an underground bunker. It's kind of like that.
It's a great show.
And they're trying to like negotiate with him to get out of there. And I feel like the Super Bowl is great and everything, but I feel like they didn't even mention it once during the Super Bowl. And it was not their job to do that. I mean, that was not their job to do that. But I feel like now that I'm thinking about it, like it makes you realize how like lucky you are to be able to sit there all safe and watch the Super Bowl. But then you realize that at the same time, in I think it's Alabama, which is only like 300 miles away from here, there's something as terrible as that going on. Alabama's way more than 300 miles away.
I'm gonna walk.
Yeah, it takes a little more than that.
400, 450.
You're a little.
So I'm gonna bring it back to the performance.
I just
Now,
want to throw that in.
yeah, that's fine. So the other thing that I didn't like about the performance is usually when they have the halftime performances, they usually get the crowd involved too.
The crowd was
There's
singing.
usually a
crowd
crowd
was not
down on the
involved.
field with them too. It's like it
Well,
just seemed like
that's a whole different thing. They have the people. They literally wait outside for the halftime show, and that's how they get into the game for free.
Yeah.
They just have people storm. But that annoyed me because my dad's been to several of the Super Bowls that the Patriots have been in, and every time he went, he's like, "Oh, well, we had to do this for the halftime show." They got the people actually got the crowd involved.
Yeah.
This time it wasn't really involving. It's just I think everyone kind of held up a blue light, and if they want to call that involvement, I would smack them.
And I feel like they had this in the city of New Orleans, and it's such a city just so rich in culture. They didn't incorporate anything. They could have incorporated kind of like a marching band or like a Mardi Gras kind of thing in there. They didn't incorporate that at all, and they didn't get the public involved. And I feel like the whole point of it being in New Orleans and the build up of it felt like there was gonna be like some New Orleans flavor to it. And that halftime show didn't have any of that. I mean, it felt like we were watching something on MTV.
Yeah, I mean, you're down in a city known for its parties, and you
Yeah,
just put
and
on
that-
a very
and-
tame.
There could have been a party. It ended up being like a book club meeting, sort of,
Yeah.
excitement-wise.
I mean, isn't Mardi Gras at the end of the month?
Mardi Gras is at the end of the month.
And is it
and-
like
Yeah.
New Orleans the place for Mardi Gras?
Yeah,
the only
obviously
recon-
not the place for halftime shows or stadiums with power, though.
No,
Yeah.
that's one. No, I mean, like
But
the
it
only,
is, hold on, but it is the place for rookie quarterbacks.
To get arrested.
Not what I was going for. But it is the place for rookie quarterbacks to be starting in football and Super Bowls and finishing their careers with a Super Bowl win.
I
even though that
can't
didn't
say enough about that. One legacy beginning and the other legacy ending. Kaepernick, as I've said before, going to have a great future ahead of him, great career ahead of him. Ray Lewis had a very storied, very great career that ended, and I'm just happy to see Ray kind of go away with just the Super Bowl trophy. That's just like a banner ending to just a awesome career.
I mean, I have to say, I mean, going on with that, I'm happy that at least we got, like, the Patriots went down to at least the Super Bowl champions and lost to a very good team, and I'm glad they did have a great
Absolutely.
ending for him.
Yeah.
Now, I want to know, I wonder how the two brothers coaches,
yeah.
That's an awkward family dinner.
how that family, I think I heard that the parents were actually going to the losers' locker room first.
Go
I
console
believe
him.
that. I believe
I
that.
wonder, next family reunion? Yeah, so
Not even family reunion, just family dinner.
I won the Super Bowl. What did you do?
I feel like it would be like it would be not as bad. I mean, had there been like straight calls and it was like
Yeah.
a well-deserved thing. But I mean, that game was very close, and it came down to a call decided that game.
Pretty
So I
much.
think that it's definitely going to be some tensions at the next family dinner. But
And that actually also reminds me of something. Before the Super Bowl, like pre-Super Bowl, they were doing a thing where usually the night before the Super Bowl, they'll switch hotels so that the players can kind of get their minds straight and be away from friends and family. But the 49ers did this, but the Ravens stayed in the same hotel and kind of socialized with their friends and family. And people were thinking, no, this is going to affect them. They're not going to be ready for the game. And, well, it obviously that's not what happened.
All right. Well, we're running out of time here. I'll let Andrew sign off. Go ahead, because I can't read it.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, guys. And you can go and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/WPMC. It's time to talk.
My name's Anthony.
And I'm Andrew.
And thank you for watching.